I'd like to call this regular city council meeting of October 13, 2014 to order. And we would like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call shows all are present, including department heads and attorneys and engineers and fire chiefs. We got everybody here. It's great. Approval of the minutes from September 22nd.
I move the minutes.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of bills.
I'll move the bills. Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the agenda. Any additions or deletions?
Not at this time.
Move the agenda.
I'll second.
For discussion, nothing to add. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment. At this time, if you wish to speak on something not listed on the agenda.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Rich Perry. I'm at 875 Westbrook Drive in South Lyon. And I'm a member of the Cable Commission, of course, and along with me are two other members of the Cable Commission. We came here to give you an update. But on the October 27th meeting, we'll actually be on the agenda, so we can give an official update then. But we just want to give a few brief words on what we're doing and what we're thinking about over, kind of short term and long term. Right now, we're what I'm going to talk about, and Amber and Steve can talk about a couple of other items. The first thing I'll talk about is just a volunteer program. So during the course of the year, there's things that go on throughout our community that would be good for information sharing on the city's Channel 19, the government access channel. And that's not just city things, but also organizations throughout the community, nonprofit organizations or service clubs, Lions, Kiwanis, VFW, et cetera. There's a lot of things that go on that would be good for this channel, we feel, as well as like rec department things and actual city things as well. Obviously, Pumpkin Fest, Cool Yule, things like that. So the volunteer program is very simply, we need to reach out to the community, to the schools, and let them know that there's a program where we build a pool of people who can go out and record these events and put them on the channel. The idea behind that, of course, is there will be a couple of training classes that are offered. And as I've mentioned before, I'll be happy to do the training at no cost. So the people can come in, and first class would be simple. This is how you tape something. This is how you use a camera. This is how you, headroom, talk space, zoom, pan, etc. So give them the basic ideas on how to put something together. A second class would, of course, be a little more advanced classes, editing. Frankly, the people who are interested in doing something like this already know how to do most of the stuff anyways, and probably have the equipment, hardware, and software already. But that's one of the things that I'm working on is putting together a volunteer program, which is based on what other communities are doing around the area and frankly around the country. If there's an access channel out there, they have a volunteer team, and so we'll replicate that here.
Amber King, 791 Westbrook. I just wanted to mention that one of the other things that we're doing on the Cable Commission is we currently have from City Council the ordinance which states what the Cable Commission is and what our roles and responsibilities are. As far as specific roles and responsibilities, it's very general. It says that we should review and recommend rules, regulations, and policies governing the city's government access channel, content, and programming, and suggest and assist in the development of locally originated programs. this is something that we're looking at to define further. It's one of the things that we're working on, and as Rich mentioned, suggesting and assisting in developing the local content is something we're working on, and we just want to let you know that, so thank you.
Hi, Steve Kaukinen, 1120 Polo Drive. Just two items I wanted to bring up tonight. One is that we'd love to reach out to the community, invite the community, first of all, to show up to our meetings, but also for us to be very intentional about reaching out to the community to understand what their needs and desires are from a government access channel. So we're very interested in collecting the feedback from the organization or from the community, and also being very proactive, whether that's perhaps getting some articles in the newspapers or just getting out into the community and just kind of getting a pulse of what the community wants. Secondly, then also I'm looking at other government access channel localities about what they're doing. And so one of the things I'm trying to do is make sure we understand what processes that they use or documents that they use when people perhaps might want to submit a piece, a video or so forth. How do they go about getting that submitted and getting that process and so forth? So we're making sure that we reach out into the other communities to understand what they do so we can bring the best practices back here to South Lyon. Thank you.
Ted?
Aaron?
Carl, are you still on the Cable Commission? Carl, are you still on the Cable Commission? Is there something you would like to add?
No, I'm very pleased with what they're doing. We're all trying, we've only met twice, okay?
You know the rules.
You got to come up to the microphone, Carl.
All right, well, I hadn't planned on making these comments.
Since it was like a group effort, I just wanted to make sure you had a chance to say what you wanted to say.
Okay, Carl Richards, 390 Lennox. We've met twice, okay? We've gotten to know each other. I've stated what I can do and what I'm willing to work with, and I'm willing to go along with whatever they can find in other communities. I believe one of my suggestions that we study some other communities, and I think we'll come up with something, okay? None of us knew each other prior to this. We were all strangers, and I'm glad to be appointed, but I've always learned to adapt and work with new people, okay? And I think we'll have some more time, okay, and some work sessions in between meetings. Get together once a month if we can, and that'll be good. That's all I've got to say, Aaron, really.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you were included.
Yeah, I've been.
Sounds good. Thanks, Carl.
Good evening. My name is Justin Gussick, 58826 Peters Barn, South Lyon. I just wanted to, first of all, introduce myself. I'm the current school board president. I'm up for re-election this year. I've never met some of you. A couple of you I met tonight, but I'm just coming out to introduce myself so you can put a face with a name. We've had a great run for the last couple of years. We've balanced our budget. We've reduced some class sizes. There's a lot of great people running for the school board. I think we should all be proud of our schools here in town because a lot of people want to give back, and we've got a lot of qualified candidates. I ask for your support. You know, a couple future goals for me are to continue our 3-year budgeting process and continue a balanced budget. We want to lower our class sizes, and we want to increase transparency. Just as a point of reference, I have support from every current board member that's on the board is supporting me, most of the Lyon Township officials, and pretty much all of the recent past board members, including Cindy Orndock, Don Beagle, Dave Talby's still on it, but Ann Beiser, so on. So looking forward to being reelected, and it'd be great if I could have your support. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else wish to speak? Okay, we can move on to old business, and it's going to be nice to get to the new business, or old business out of it, and get it current event, that's for sure. The request of city accept a dedication of water and sanitary sewer utilities, improvements in utilities, and easements for Colonial Acres Phase 5.
I'm going to turn this over to Tim and Joe, because Joe, I believe, still has a motion on the table.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just run through the agenda note and the information provided. The agenda note outlines the background of this. We have received, there are items A through P. So many of these are the quitclaim deeds of easements for water lines and sanitary sewer lines from the 1980s. And there are two more recently recorded easements, one for water supply, one for sanitary sewer, recorded in 2014, July. We have field engineered drawings. We have survey documents from Mr. Pruss. We have a bill of sale from both the property owner and the association. And that's primarily due to the lease arrangement between the association and the landowner. We want to make sure that there's nothing falls through the cracks based on the lease language, so that we know that there's a clear bill of sale of the utilities to the city by whichever entity may have. There may be some issue about who has the actual authority to do that under the lease. In order to just not spend time and energy on that, we've gotten a bill of sale from both entities. We also have the authority background from both entities in order to establish that they can grant the bill of sale and the dedication. And I think that's primarily it. As I understand, the DPW has been out in the field to inspect what areas, identify where the utilities are located, and possibly inspect some other things. Bob, if I've misspoken, correct me. The city's engineer has reviewed this. I've reviewed the documentation. There is a motion pending. As part of this agenda note, which I prepared, I have provided two suggested motions. I believe that I would recommend you use the suggested motions as opposed to the pending motion. So you're going to have to figure out amongst yourself as a council how to deal with the pending motion. It can be as easy as withdrawing it, amending it, or trying to conform it to the motion that I've suggested. And the reason that I think you need to use the suggested motion is because of the conditions. The most important one is the expansive easement agreement. So that is a condition of the approval and acceptance of dedication. That agreement has not been formally executed. I'm asking as motion number 2, so you would condition the acceptance of the dedication on the execution of that document, that agreement. And as a second motion, you would authorize the mayor and clerk to execute that document. In addition, we're trying to tie the acceptance to many of the policy requirements that you have for dedication of utilities, private utility systems. The main one is that there's no service leads, no storm sewer or storm drains coming in, and no obligation to restore are the primary 3 conditions, in addition to the expansive easement.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Wilhelm. Thank you, Ms. Ledner. Wanted to start off by saying that, as most of you know, I did make the original motion because I knew that it was what was right for the city and what was right for Colonial Acres residents and right for our policy. So that's why I made the original motion, and I wanted to see that this was driven to closure. And I've been in speaking with our city attorney, Mr. Wilhelm, and several other people. First, I want to commend Mr. Wilhelm. I think this is a very good, very thorough information you put before us. And in speaking to you, I am confident in the revised motion. One thing that was important to me was making sure that every detail is captured so we don't have to go back and deal with this issue again, however many years from now. One thing that was important to me specifically was the fire hydrants, and I'm glad to see that in the suggestion motion that Mr. Wilhelm put before us, it does include 20 fire hydrants and also calls out all the specific areas that are being dedicated. I'm not going to go through all of them, but yeah, there's lift station, manholes, et cetera. So with that being said, I am going to withdraw my motion, and at the same time, I will propose a new motion. It's going to be the suggestion motion number 1, longer alternative. Now, with that being said, this is in our packet tonight and available to the public. Do you prefer that I read line for line, or if I reference?
I had a question about that before the meeting tonight. I'm comfortable if you were to say it is as presented in the council packet, suggested motion number 1, the longer version, to just streamline the
Okay.
verbatim recitation of what's outlined here in the council packet. It's been made available to the public. It outlines all the documents as far as the quitclaim deeds, the easements, bills of sale that the city would be accepting, as well as the 4 conditions for acceptance.
So, thank you very much for the clarification. So with that said, I will withdraw my motion, and I'd like to propose a new motion, and that is suggestion motion number 1, the longer alternative. I guess we could reference the council packet for specifics.
I'll second.
Support your motion.
Thank you, Bev, for supporting.
Just for clarification, I assume in the formal minutes, the full motion will be in the minutes?
Yes, I think.
Or treat it as if it's been stated verbatim in the
Okay.
record.
I mean, ultimately, the motion is simply an inventory of everything that we've been discussing for the last couple of meetings, so it's a compilation of that.
Well, I'll go ahead and just list, let me just list real quickly what we're talking. Your water mains and valves, 9,821 linear feet of water main, 27 gate valves and well. Hydrants, which there are 20 of them. Sewer maintenance and valves, 533 linear feet of forced sewer main, 8,249 linear feet of gravity sewer main, 36 manholes, and 1 lift station. That we're going to take over for you, right? If we can get it voted in. Any other comments?
Call the question.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Do a little jig out here, or what? Sure.
And thank you, Councilwoman Dixon, for supporting me. Thank you.
Well, then I'll make the motion then, motion number 2, to approve the expansive easement agreement pertaining to the utility. God, never had enough coffee today. Easements for Colonial Acres Phases 5A, 5B, 5C, and 5D as presented.
I'll support that.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
2.
Ted?
As to the, good evening, I'm Margaret Kurzweil. I have an office at 417 South Lafayette, and I'm the attorney for the landowner this evening. On behalf of the landowner, I'd like to present to City Council, and I will deliver to the city clerk, the original signatures of both Mr. Pelkey and Dr. Brooks with respect to the expansive easement. So with respect to the contingency in terms of holding this up, the only thing left is the signature from the mayor and the city clerk.
Thanks.
Okay, we can move on to new business, which is a request of road closure to downtown trick-or-treat event. Is there a representative here?
Bummer, I had a question.
Yeah, I think there's more than one question needed to be addressed here. And they're talking, and it doesn't say it, but it says downtown trick-or-treating, well, for the October 30th, from 6 to 9 o'clock, that would be stores only that participate, but I really wish they had a representative. Was this through the Chamber of Commerce?
This is through the DDA and through the Chamber of Commerce. I sit on the board. I will try to answer as many questions as I can, although I did miss the meeting last week. What are the questions that the council has?
My question is, why is the road closure request, why it doesn't include the whole DDA? It's just part of the DDA. Isn't this a DDA event? Shouldn't it include the whole DDA?
I can answer that. The proposed road closures mirror the normal closure for major events in the downtown area. And the placement of the barricades, as suggested, is important to facilitate the detour routes.
Have you had a problem in the future with it not being closed?
In the past.
Yes.
Or in the past, I'm sorry.
In the past.
Can you see ahead?
I don't have my crystal ball here tonight. Like many of the popular events that take place from year to year in the city, the downtown trick-or-treat has gotten ever more popular as time went on, and much more heavily attended. The last year, there were so many people in the downtown area that there were, to say the least, conflicts between pedestrians and motor vehicle traffic. Both the fire chief and I were concerned with pedestrian safety, and in fact, we both support the idea of actually closing the downtown either for the 2 or 3 hours, and using the normal bypass routes, normal detour routes to get traffic around downtown.
Personally, I see still promoting a problem. We're going, like they said, half the DDA is not being included in this, and they're going to have to cut across the traffic that's trying to go both directions there. And we're going to be sending that huge amount of people through right across the road there. That's going to be just as equal to trying to cross Pontiac Trail anyways, if it wasn't closed off.
Is there another way you can look at the closure to include that DDA? I mean, can you look at maybe them using
Because they go all the way
Reynolds
down.
Street instead for the detour?
We'd have to look at it carefully and analyze it rather than speak off the top of my head.
Yeah, I understand that. I'd just like to see the whole DDA in it, because I know they like to be in it.
I think that's an attractive proposal, but then you're making all the people on, I think it's Elm Place, isn't that the street that you live on, Ted?
Yeah.
Those people will be captives for the entire event, so, no.
No, we got ways out of there.
You could go out through.
The neighborhood knows this. We got a couple driveways we know how to get out on.
Without sanction from the seniors' home there, I think that that's not an appropriate response, so.
No, yes, it is. There's another place called South Line Collision. You can get out through there too. There are
Yeah.
only 21 houses back there. I don't see.
Well, I mean, you get approval from those two entities, and I mean, that becomes a great deal more viable, but you can't simply impose that on them.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, so each year, as you said, this is getting more and more popular. We have children, families going downtown. I hear from our police chief that he's comfortable with this, you said, I don't want to speak for Chief Kennedy, but you said you've reviewed this?
Chief Collins and I are on the same page with this. We think that.
I mean, we have a bunch of people going to the downtown, children and adults. I understand what my fellow council members are saying about other businesses, but it sounds like we have a proposal in front of us. Well, my concern is that if we don't go with the proposal in front of us, when's our next meeting? Then we don't have time to,
The 27th.
27th? I mean, this is something we should approve tonight, in my opinion. And it, like I said, the chiefs support it, so I support it, so.
And if I might, Mr. Mayor, we should note, too, that the DDA board has requested this particular closure. So to some extent, I have to believe the DDA is on board with the request.
Are we going to have police officers there to help get them across then, Liberty Street? Because they're going to go down to the other end. They're going to take in the whole DDA area and do their shop, or their trick-or-treating.
No, we had not planned to do that.
Yes, Mike.
Do we have other businesses within the DDA that are not included in the road closures that have come forth and said, we'd like to be included, you know, and as far as road closures are concerned, so that our businesses get, you know, visited?
I don't know if we have businesses outside the, or in the DDA, they're outside the road closure area that have asked to be included. I did talk to Kristen today. There are businesses actually from Lyon Township that have asked for a way to participate, and so we've talked to them about using public spaces such as the pocket park, sidewalks, municipal parking lots that fall within this area, that are public areas, because they would like to participate in the business trick-or-treat, even though their businesses are not in our DDA, because they'd like to be able to help the kids and,
No, no, that sounds pretty exciting for the kids.
yeah.
Maybe that would be an opportunity for the people outside of the scope of the roadblocks to put a little pop-up tent or something out in the street.
What a lot of communities will do is, and I don't know if we could do this in one of the municipal lots, is what's called a trunk or treat, where you set up individual businesses or people in parking spots, and they do their trick-or-treating out of the trunk of a car. So we could set up and allow businesses outside of the DDA or that are in the DDA but outside of that area to do that in one of the parking lots that fall within this area so that they could still participate.
I mean, I'm not poo-pooing the whole idea. You know, I'm not gonna like vote no or anything like that, but it would have been nice if we had somebody here that was more of a representative of it, and at least they could hear our questions, you know,
I
but,
understand.
you know.
And I apologize that I wasn't at the meeting
Oh,
last
it
week.
has nothing to do with you as far as that goes. I just, I also, if you're gonna give out opinions, I think it's a crappy night to do it. I mean, these kids are gonna be back to back. They might be exhausted, they might need a little recoup before they go out again.
No, Mike can do it.
That's what chocolate
Can't do
does
that
for
to
you.
kids.
They don't need a
You
recoup?
can't run them out of gas.
They'll be running on a sugar high.
I just think it's a lot for some of the families to have that 2 nights in a row. The businesses might have gotten more exposure if they had it another night. That's just an opinion you can pass on to the committee. That has nothing, again, it has nothing to do with me.
Last year was a week ahead of time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. I have nothing to do with me voting.
And I
on
can
it.
pass that information on.
I would just like that information passed, and I'd just like, maybe next year if they can try and include more, or give those other businesses a heads up, you know, maybe put some trunks, like you said, open, or some little tents up in the Wells Street parking lot.
Well, I personally think it's a great proposal, and
Oh, of course it is.
And- so I'd like to make the
It's not.
motion to approve the proposed road closure.
I'll second.
Nobody's saying.
Further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Boo.
Aye.
Thanks, Glenn.
Managers report.
Just a couple of things. We received a thank you note from the Lyon Township Fire Department, thanking our South Lyon Fire Department. It says, on the evening of 9/27, the Lyon Township Fire Department responded to a reported structure fire on Pontiac Trail in Lyon Township. South Lyon responded with automatic mutual aid. The South Lyon Fire Department and South Lyon Department of Public Works were both great assets in resolving this emergency and in preventing damage to new vehicles in close proximity. I'd like to thank the City of South Lyon, specifically the professionalism of both the Fire Department and the Department of Public Works. Sincerely, Ken Van Speartab, Fire Chief, Lyon Township Fire Department. The other item is I would like to thank the entire city council and the mayor for all of the sympathy and condolences that I received from all of you and my most recent loss. Thank you very much for reaching out to me. It's been a very difficult couple of weeks, but I appreciate everything that you did for me and allowing me to take as much time off as I needed.
Okay, Glenn.
Well, I heard that there was a big event in town a couple of weeks ago. Actually, the Pumpkin Fest was a terrific event. We had the good fortune of remarkable weather. Pretty much things went without a hitch. It was kind of impressive to me to see the concerns that had been brought up from the previous event translated into the iteration that we had this year. They solved the problem with the tent and the entertainment and all that, and trying to get the capacity raised to something that was sensible and yet manageable. And, there is no perfect solution, and I hope that people can get their arms around that. This is the best option that I can imagine coming up with. So I wanted to thank the Pumpkin Fest committee for being ever willing to look at further adaptions for this whole thing. And I'm sure that what had taken place this year, people will end up having comments that they'll respond to, and next year's event will end up being an improved version of what we just enjoyed. So if we can have the same weather we had this year, we'll have another great event next year. So that's all I had. Thanks.
Okay, Aaron?
Pumpkin Fest was, it was the weather that made it, I think, a lot, too. I do want to give to whoever the committee is or whatever, one corrective criticism. They need to screen the bands, because the band that was on at primetime family time on Saturday's language was very inappropriate.
Oh.
There were people leaving there with their hands over their children's ears, and it was very inappropriate language. So if somebody could just, I don't know, YouTube it, look at it online, or understand what the language is that is going to be sung at there. I mean, it was just the one band, and it was on Saturday
What time-
afternoon, primetime family hour.
Do you know what time it was? Was it
It was the first one.
first one?
So that's my only corrective criticism, is just, wow.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
I didn't hear it.
I heard it.
Joe?
All I
So-
heard was 80s music.
I wanted to congratulate the South Lyon football team. Anybody hasn't noticed, they're doing excellent. Secured a playoff spot on Friday in Central Division champions. So it's really exciting to see them play. They a lot of talent. Also wanted to thank again residents for coming out today. I think it's you being here has really driven it and kept the momentum to get this issue resolved. And it's nice to see everybody agree and finally get this behind us and basically move forward. So thank you to everybody that showed up tonight.
Okay, Harvey?
I echo the comments of my colleagues. The Pumpkin Fest was great. Glad to have this Colonial Acres issue resolved and resolved unanimously. Took a lot of hard work by the staff, but I think the work was well done and worth the wait, worth doing. So thank you, everyone, for that. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mike?
Yeah, I want to thank Bob Martin, our city attorney, Lynn, for all the hard work they put in getting this finally accomplished with Colonial Acres. Again, I want to thank the residents for your patience. Took a while, but we finally got it done. And having worked the Pumpkin Fest, I know it was successful for, I think, for 2.5 hours. All I did was fill beer after beer after beer after beer. And I don't think I turned the tap off for 2.5 hours. So weather helped. I know a lot of people that came up to me afterwards said they really liked the layout this year. I know there's some improvements that need to be made. I know a lot of people waited a long time in the beer tent, but hopefully that will go forward next year. And again, hopefully the weather will be cooperative as well. So thank you.
Okay. Bev?
Well, everybody said it all, I think. It was a great Pumpkin Fest, and I want to thank all the Colonial Acres people for coming out, too. And so I'll say ditto.
Okay, thank you. Couple things. People always are saying, how come we don't get any choice with cable? Why doesn't Comcast come in? I've been working on it again this week. I've talked to Indianapolis, I've talked to Pennsylvania, and I'm supposed to get a call back here in the next couple days, see what the deal is on that, because it is a non-exclusive franchise, meaning anybody can come into town and do that. And we know Comcast touches our borders. So it's not being ignored. I mean, I'm just so you know, I'm still trying to work on it personally. And also, and hopefully, next meeting I'll remember to say if we got anywhere with it. Also, on the Pumpkin Fest thing, they were sold out at 8 o'clock that night, but I thought it was pretty neat that people were able to resolve the issue. There's people wanted to get in later. They kind of hung around. People came out, gave up their armbands, and they were able to just get in with those on. And it's a matter of, it's supposed to be 1,600 people. So it doesn't matter if you rotate the people, as long as you got no more than 1,600 in there. So that was a way of resolving some of the issues with people that got shut out at 8 o'clock, and the last band didn't start till around 9. So I was glad to see people resolving the issue that way. And personally, tomorrow I'll be heading up to the MML, Michigan Municipal League, up in Marquette. I haven't been to the Upper Peninsula since the 1970s. I hope I can find my way through the woods. And
Will you be back before the next meeting?
He doesn't get lost.
yeah, I'll be lost in the forest, that's for sure. And I hope to get back Friday in time to see the South Lyon play Canton in the crossover game. That's a huge game. This will be the 4th Division I team that South Lyon will be playing, and they've already knocked off 2 of those 3. And we're a Division II team, so it's exciting. We've got a great team. It's a home game. If the weather's right, you might want to get out and catch some exciting high school football. And with that, I'd like to call for an adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Support.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That ends this meeting of approximately 40 minutes.
Exhibits.
Yeah, close enough.